In the headlines, the Geothermal Development Act to be passed in Parliament later this month, an updated Sexual Offences Act to provide greater protection for minors, and the Dominica Association of Teachers awarded the Norm Global Teachers Day Award. I am Andrea Lee with the Channel 5 News. Details after this. Thank you for staying with us. We begin with this piece that later this month, a bill to regulate the energy produced from Dominica's geothermal energy plant will be passed in Parliament. Work on Dominica's geothermal energy project began in the Roseau Valley in 2010, and the new expected end date is 2019.
The Parliament will meet sometime in October, towards the middle or the end of October, and we will pass the Geothermal Development Act. It's a bill right now. It will become law, become an act. That will guide the future development of geothermal energy. What we are working on right now is when we extract the steam out of the wells that we have already drilled, which actually is the property of the government of Dominica. That steam coming out of the well has to be turned into electricity or power by turbines. So right now we are in the process of designing the type of turbines we need for geothermal energy, because we cannot use the same diesel generators that Domlec is using. That's fossil fuel diesel generators. So we're in the process of designing the type of generators we need.
3 international companies have come on board to help the government of Dominica develop this US $35 million project.
We have signed 3 contracts, one with our legal advisors out of Boston in the US, a legal firm with vast experience in power and in geothermal development called Holland and Knight, and they will be helping us to negotiate things like a power purchase agreement with Domlec, because of course Domlec owns the grid, the high tension wires around Dominica, and that grid also has to be upgraded, and there's a cost to that. We also have a company called Jacobs out of New Zealand. We're getting tremendous assistance from the government of New Zealand. They're going to be providing a number of things, technical assistance, and among that technical assistance, they will be helping us to determine what type of equipment we need for the turbines. And also we have another firm called Clean Infra Partners, who will also be helping us with the issues of arriving at a contract for the actual building of the geothermal power plant.
The Minister for Energy says the ultimate aim is to have Dominicans invest in the geothermal energy project.
What we have to do, like I told you, is we're going to form a separate company, a wholly owned company by the government of Dominica, very much along the lines of, say, how NBD was formulated by government-owned the bank, or say DOASCO, or the Dominica National Petroleum Company. And what we will do when that company is incorporated, the government will then divest some shares so that local Dominicans and Dominican firms and companies will be able to invest in their own company. Really, the company will be owned by Dominicans for the most part, and also too we intend to source some grant funding from other institutions around the world.
Phase 1 of this project will see the development of a 7-megawatt small energy plant to distribute power in Dominica. Phase 2 will involve the energy exports to neighboring French islands. In court news now, a motion filed by Salisbury residents challenging the constitutionality of the Riot Act has been described by senior counsel Anthony Astafan as an exercise in futility.
Attorney for the defendants in a Salisbury protest matter, Cara Schillenford, told the court the Riot Act of 1897 was inconsistent with the values of today's society and contravenes the provisions of the Constitution. Shillingford said it was unfortunate that such a barbaric and archaic law, repealed by the British in 1973, was still on Dominica's law books. On Wednesday, Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan, along with Solicitor General Tamika Hyacinth Burton and State Attorney Athlin Nesty, told the court the defendants should have waited until the matter was determined by the criminal court before filing their motion. Astafan said that the Riot Act was in order, and since the defendants had broken the law, the police was right to charge them. Shillingford and Attorney Julian Prevost represent defendants MP for Salisbury Hector John, Thomas Louis, and Lenry John, who are before the court over protests in Salisbury on May 11 and June 12, 2015. In court Wednesday, High Court Judge Bernie Stevenson ordered both parties to file written submissions in response to each other's oral submissions. This submission is to be filed no later than November 30, 2016, and only then the court shall rule on the matter.
On to education. As the world observed Teachers' Day on 5th October, the Dominica Association of Teachers was recognized globally through its receipt of the Norm Goebel Award. Norman Goebel was the past General Secretary of the Canadian Teachers Federation and past General Secretary of one of the organizations that founded Education International. He was also integral to the initiation of World Teachers' Day, and due to his stellar contribution to education around the world, his family and the CTF decided to recognize his legacy through establishing this award. The initiative was started in 2014, and the recipient receives 1,000 Canadian dollars towards its activities for Teachers Week, which is observed the first week in October.
The award is open to members of the Education International and affiliates of the Canadian Teachers Federation. So the units, as opposed to the criteria, write a proposal, and the proposal would indicate what the unit intends to do in celebration of World Teachers' Day. This year, we decided to write our project. We sent one to Canadian Teachers Federation and the other to Education International. And internationally, the Dominica Association of Teachers, we won that award.
Among the events for Teachers Week is the Phenomenal Teachers Awards ceremony, which this year will be awarded to both a male and female teacher on Thursday, which is also Teachers Appreciation Day. About 4 years ago, the DAT hosted the Phenomenal Male Teacher Awards ceremony, and this time around is encompassing female teachers in the giving of this prestigious award. The DAT had received 17 nominations for this award.
One of the criteria is that the individual teacher has to be a member of the Dominica Association of Teachers. So people might think that we are imposing. We have to listen to the individuals, because these Education International and the foreign teacher unions, they are very particular to that. So we are going to have a red carpet affair on Thursday evening at the Great Old House, where all the nominees that we have so far will be at a dinner. As it is a ceremony, a dinner award. Each nominee will receive a participatory plaque, and the winner, the male, the female, will receive a trophy plus their plaque and $500.
Another of the signature events for Teachers Week is the annual Teachers Rally, this time scheduled for the community of Saint-Sauveur.
And at that rally, we are going to recognize, we use the word honorees because among them is Miss Bella Prentice, who served the union as General Secretary from year 2000 to 2016. She's going to be recognized there. And then our retirees, of course, there are about 16 or 17 of them. They will be recognized at that rally. And the day, the first Friday in October, it is a right with an obligation and with responsibilities. So it's not a day that teachers should take lightly.
Teachers Week is being celebrated under the theme, Valuing Teachers, Improving Their Status. Sexting and grooming of minors will specifically be considered as crimes here when the updated Sexual Offences Act is passed into law. Idona John Baptist reports.
The Sexual Offences Bill will be introduced to Parliament next month. Once it goes through the various stages, including being debated and read 3 times at Parliament, this will pave the way for the country's 18-year-old legislation on sex-related crimes to be modernized. Sexual violation of children less than 16 years ranks the highest in child sexual abuse cases on island. These sex offenses do not just include penetrative acts, but also involves causing children to behave in a sexually explicit manner, incidents which the Social Welfare Division is all too familiar with.
Where you send naked pictures and videos via the mobile, via the telephone or Facebook messages. This is what we call sexting. But the amendments that has been made to the Sexual Offences Act also includes sexting, and it also includes grooming of a minor. Grooming includes where you are basically prepping that child for sexual activity, and we have a lot of that going on in Dominica, because most of the times, by the time a child has been sexually abused and you interview that child, there has been a lot of grooming going on before it actually reached to the sexual abuse of that child.
Grooming as a way to lower a child's inhibitions for sexual activity would involve giving gifts to the child.
You bring groceries at the end of the month for the family. You can do the homework by me. You can use my computer and my printer. This is what we call grooming, getting the child comfortable with a perpetrator before the actual act of sexual abuse. So that is also going to be taken into consideration in our amendments for the Sexual Offences Act. And also it includes pornography also. And I'm very grateful for that in terms of the exchange of pictures and so on, where with minors naked or performing sexual activities. We all know we have seen a lot of that in recent times with students engaging in sexual activity via the phone, where persons actually record that. Now this is going to be taken seriously, because I know quite a lot of people have gotten away with this. And I think it's time that persons, pay up for abusing children in that way.
In December 2015, government appointed a Sexual Offences Review Committee chaired by legal advisor Ray Harris to look at sexual offences legislation with a view to updating it. Justice Minister Rayburn Blackmore had assured earlier this year that amendments to the Sexual Offences Act would be on government's legislative agenda. Azil Lewis describes child sexual abuse as a silent emergency because many cases go unreported while children are afraid to speak up. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
Moving on to our young people, the time has come to set our national development priorities right and invest more in our youth. Chief Youth Development Officer John Roach made this comment during his address at Wednesday's National Youth Consultation. Roach believes if this is done, the country can reap the benefits of this valuable resource.
We are being reminded that the youth themselves have a critical role to play in shaping the tomorrow they desire and envision, and must therefore be granted the space to do so in every stage of the process. A process that starts by listening to the youth and progresses into the active engagement and ownership of their destiny.
The consultation featured 14 thematic work groups for the 300+ participants, who are all expected to receive a particular message.
The first message is the fact that is in what we refer to as inclusion, engagement of the young people, because we are actually trying to rebrand not just a policy, but the implementing agencies, which is the Youth Development Division, the National Youth Council, and the Kalinago Youth Council, and all the other key players in youth development in Dominica. We're trying to rebrand, reform, also to make sure that we have an improved environment to allow young people to excel to their full potential and to be able to contribute to the whole development of the country. So it is, in fact, the theme for today's national consultation is from rhetoric to action. Okay, Agenda 2030, because it is a whole 15-year program we're looking at, not a 4-year or 5-year program, but a 15-year program that will be in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. And therefore, it is important that whatever we come up with today is going to be what it is that the young people are asking for.
Meanwhile, President of the National Youth Council, Senator Josiah Benoit, was pleased with the turnout.
My message to you is to see yourself as more than just a participant today. See yourself as a committed partner to not only the production of this policy, but its implementation. And it is my responsibility and duty, honorably so, on behalf of the National Youth Council, to commit to the Youth Development Division, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and to you, our Dominican youth, that we will be there with you throughout the 42 communities of this honorable and great country to ensure that this policy is implemented to the T, to the extent that resources are available. So with these few words, I want to encourage you to be focused, to be outspoken, to be passionate about the issues that you bring to the fore, and we, the National Youth Council, will be there with you every step of the way in translating this policy from rhetoric to action.
Coming up, a warning to food handlers by the DFC ahead of the Creole Festival. Welcome back. The issue of leaking information to the public in child abuse matters is being addressed at a first ever forensic interviewing training on child abuse and neglect. Here is that story.
The skills of education officials, medical practitioners, religious leaders, and police officers in handling reports of child abuse stand to improve after a 4-day training. Interview techniques, ethical practices, and ascertaining truth of a sexual abuse complaint are some of what participants are learning. A professor of behavioral science at Ross University, Dr. Davendra Sharma, is the workshop's main facilitator.
While most of the program is devoted to the investigative techniques and interview skills, we also are going to look at some of the process, because how do you set up even the environment that you use for a child interview is important. How do you ensure that information is not leaked, even about the perpetrator who needs to be protected prior to the case in terms of identity.
Sharma, who has a doctorate in psychiatric medicine, first led interventions on child abuse in Grenada. He thinks this training locally is long overdue.
I'm glad to see that now things are evolved where we're having a workshop, first of its kind, in training especially first-line respondents to and investigators to child abuse cases in special techniques. So this is a much-needed activity. Reason being that many cases may be lost because of flaws in the investigative process. Flaws that cause the children to shut down or not be completely aware of discrepancies, which unfortunately could lead to problems when they testify or the matter is brought into court.
So what should investigators and first responders be getting right here? Sharma says they should not be biased by external factors and have to be able to discern the truth.
And also be able to discern that this is truly a case and not something that's being used or having the child be manipulated to give a false allegation, because that's really very harmful to persons in society if an allegation is not correct. Most children will tell the truth, but one has to say, keep an open mind that there's not something else that's happening that's beyond what might be apparent or what's being complained about.
The workshop wraps up on Friday. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
A secure residential facility for juvenile offenders is on government's agenda as efforts to seek funding are ongoing. Indications of this commitment have come from Karen Prevost, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Services, Family and Gender Affairs. Prevost says the Child Justice Bill covers the establishment of a facility to help rehabilitate young offenders.
The Ministry of Social Services has presented a proposal to the OECS Secretariat and the USAID under the Juvenile Justice Reform Project, Part 2, we have actually gotten approval for Part 2 or Phase 2 of JJRP. So this is something that we are looking at under this facility. So it is definitely in the pipeline. We already have a proposal. We have been looking at possible locations for the secure residential facility.
Government is also looking to partner with Operation Youthquake, a center for troubled teens, in running a place of safety for children.
We are looking at how we can incorporate Operation Youthquake as a place of safety. But a place of safety for children who are in conflict with the law would be different from a secure residential facility, which would be where children would be sentenced to, as opposed to being in the prison system. So we are working on these things, and once these bills are enforced, it means therefore that Magistrate Augustus would then need to provide other diversion programs would be one. The secure residential facility, which he can explain further, is another area that we're looking at, and place of safety for children.
There will be zero tolerance for bad food at this year's World Creole Music Festival. DFC consultant Val Coffey issued the warning during the weekly press conference on Wednesday.
Moving forward, if you do not have your requisite certification, that is your environmental health instruction plan and your information, so that when the officers come to you with the police, that you're able to ensure that you're approved. We do not want to see people making bakes and selling frying chicken and they have the same clothes they had done by Save a Lot buying the food. We want people to really do this thing properly and professionally. It is not in good health practices when you don't have the right attire, you have nothing covering your ear, your nails are not in a good condition, you have no apron, you have nothing of that nature, the food is not kept properly. The environmental health and the DFC would not allow that because we do not want any unnecessary disturbances for our patrons coming to the event.
Coffey says individuals only think of making money whilst forgetting their responsibility. He explained that this also relates to vendors who sell alcohol to minors. Meantime, Chief Veterinary Officer Dr. Reginald Thomas shared some of his ministry's concerns regarding importation of meat and dairy products.
Some people not knowing the dangers that exist with importation of what is plant parts and animal parts. The Ministry of Agriculture has in the past informed as much as possible as to the procedures by which plants and animals or their parts thereof can be imported. The general procedure is that an import permit is provided by the ministry for either parts, be it plant or animals. The Ministry of Agriculture can be contacted at the Botanic Gardens, Ministry Division of Agriculture, and will provide the necessary information and guidance as to how these plant parts and animal parts can be imported.
And season tickets promotion for this year's World Creole Music Festival will end on Friday, and patrons are being encouraged to pick up tickets already ordered and paid for. Acting Events Director at the DFC, Kellyanne Williams, wants the public to take advantage of a $250 ticket offer while it lasts.
The tickets are available at Deepex in Roseau, Bullseye Pharmacy in Roseau and Portsmouth, Douglas Snackett, ASI in Grand Bay, and Pixan Phones. Persons who bought the tickets on special in August can also pick up their tickets at the office. They bring in the receipt and the ID that they use to purchase the tickets. So we encourage persons to come and pick up their tickets as soon as possible.
Also, during Wednesday's DFC News Conference, Dominican musician Cornel Phillip released a CD consisting of Caras music, which is available online for download.
In 1997, Eddie Angol and myself, we did a music compilation called Mizicano. We ran this compilation for 3 years up to 1999, and 16 years later we're going to be releasing volume 4, right? And it was, we only saw it fitting that we represent Dominican music for the Creole Festival, and it has been 16 years that this has not been done. So we decided to do something along with Donovan Gabriel. Actually, it's Donovan Gabriel and myself who actually produced this CD. It features the vocal stylings of Colin XP and Webster Murray, and I must say that that is the best that I've heard them. In all the times that I've worked with them, they really brought up the bar. You know, there are 13 songs on the album. You have songs like Celibwe, which celebrates the World Creole Music Festival.
That's news. Your sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
First up, they tried to avoid it, but it seemed inevitable as the Windies suffered a whitewash against Pakistan, losing their third ODI on Wednesday by 136 runs. Pakistan won the toss and chose to bat first, posting 308 for 6. Babar Azam scored 117 and Azhar Ali 101 for Pakistan. In reply, West Indies were bowled out for 172. Danish Ramdid added 37 and Craig Brathwaite 32. Babar Azam was named player of the match. Meantime, South Africa beat Australia by 4 wickets in their third one-day international on Wednesday. Australia took first knock and scored 371 for 6. David Warner struck 117, Stephen Smith 108 and Aaron Finch 53. Set 372 to win, South Africa made 372 for 6. David Miller scored 180 not out, Quinton de Kock 70. South Africa won the three-match series 3-0. David Miller was named the player of the match. In basketball, Phase 2 of the Digicel Jumpstart program is just days away as 7 Dominican athletes get ready to further impress NBA selectors. The players will compete in BVI for a chance to go to New York, where they could witness an NBA game and benefit from basketball scholarships. This according to Digicel Dominica's marketing assistant, Tirella Alexander.
Well, it's definitely a feeling of extreme excitement. This week we actually met with the 7 players who will be representing Dominica and their schools and themselves as well at the elite camp of the Digicel NBA Jumpstart in BVI. We met with them and their parents as well. They are all looking forward to this opportunity. I mean, we've mentioned how huge it is, you know, just being given the opportunity to meet up with NBA certified coaches and getting training from them, you know, learning a whole lot more than you've started off with as regards the sport of basketball.
The Dominican squad will leave the country on Thursday for Tortola, where they will meet up with other selected basketballers from other Caribbean countries.
We'll leave the island tomorrow, Thursday. Sometime close to 12 midday for the BVI, and the camp begins on Friday and will run until Sunday. There our players will meet up with others from about 9 Caribbean countries who will also be competing for that NBA experience in New York later on, where they will get to tour an NBA arena. They will meet some greats in the NBA, and they will also attend an NBA game, among other things.
She says the players have demonstrated good performances so far, and it's just a matter of continuing on that level or better.
Based on what we've seen our players put forward throughout the clinics, the pre-clinics phase, what we've seen them do previously, you know, in their own sporting activities, whether it be in school or locally, we feel that they do have the potential to be among the greats worldwide, and we are looking forward to seeing them be at their best in the BVI. Overall, we expect them to be on their best behavior, you know, show teamwork on and off the court. We expect them to demonstrate some level of professionalism.
Next up, manager for West Indies on the tour of the United Arab Emirates, Joel Garner, considers remarks made by Dwayne Bravo as misleading. Speaking with a radio station in Trinidad and Tobago on Monday, Bravo said the team and the management were left demoralized and appeared lost at times during various stages of the whitewash against Pakistan. However, in a recent statement, Garner said the team management is disappointed but not surprised by Bravo's comments during Monday's interview. The comments made by both men came on the heels of ordinary performances by West Indies, which have resulted in their losing all 5 limited over games played so far against Pakistan. Back with more cricket. Sri Lanka leads West Indies A by 72 runs with 2 wickets remaining in the first innings to end day 2 of their unofficial test on 348 for 8 on Wednesday. Rakeem Cornwall unleashed a vicious bowling attack for the Windies, taking 6 for 87. D. Karunarante tops the scoring for Sri Lanka with 131, while Kusal Pirara added 87 and N. Dikwela 59. In sports division games, Bagatelle Primary topped the South District in the boys category for the sports division Primary Schools Athletics Championships on Wednesday. Bagatelle was in the lead with 74 points, Granby second on 64 and Tetmon third on 60. In the girls section, Granby Primary topped their zone with 102 points, with Tetmon trailing on 72, followed by Bellevue with 42. The games continue on Thursday with schools from the South District participating. The games begin at 9:30. Finally, we can bring you results from the Soca Rum Dominate 300 Domino League on Tuesday. In Game 1, T-Rebels 73 doors 3 points, Hurt Them 66 doors 2 points, and the Rabbit Hole 65 doors 1 point. Game 2 had Arms with 71 doors 3 points, High Roller 70 doors 2 points, and Martian 67 doors 1 point. In the final game, Lilia Punishers finished on 75 doors 3 points, Demolish 72 doors 2 points, and Tico Pawezo 71 doors 1 point. That's all the sporting highlights for now. I am Kenny Williams. We'll see you in the next one.
Flashback is next.
Welcome to another edition of Flashback. The idea of exploring or interest in exploring Dominica's natural resources is nothing new. The United Workers' Party and the Dominica Freedom Party before that all had plans of exploring the country's natural resources, as you will see in this clip.
It was not any normal geothermal resource license. The license which gave them the authority to do a lot of things, mining, exploration, all sorts of things, and to search for all minerals except oil. And if we look at the agreement here, you see that they were able to purchase, to take lease, or otherwise acquire freehold and other lands, properties, mines, and mineral properties, or other interests in mines, mining rights, lands, and so forth. Two, they were able to prospect, explore, open and work claims or mines, drill and sink shafts, wells and boreholes, and to reclaim and utilize, re-inject and dispose of water. They were also able, the same idea of roads we hear them talking about, they were supposed to construct and maintain transmission lines, road, railways, tram roads, and other means of communication and conveniences. They were supposed, let me finish, they were supposed to extract, utilize, and sell all products of geothermal processing, including but not limited to indigenous steam, hot water, and all other things, gas, all these things. And also, fundamentally, this one I want to stress, they were able to employ and pay mining experts, agents, and other persons, partnerships, companies, or corporations as may be necessary for the purpose of carrying out their functions. So in other words, this license which Mr. Kerry McDonald has on behalf of Caribbean Enterprise Limited, they themselves is able now to employ BHP to carry on mining activities for them, because they have the right from 23rd day of February 1995, signed by the past administration.
Dominica is investing $30 million US in geothermal exploration in Dominica. 15 million of that is going to come from the Economic Citizenship Program. Later this month, the Geothermal Development Act is expected to be passed in Parliament. Let's hope that this venture will be successful, as it will seriously reduce the cost of energy in Dominica. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
And now, your weather forecast.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am Janelle Macpherson and I'll be your presenter this evening. We begin by taking a look at today's infrared satellite imagery, which showed multi-layered clouds across the islands associated with this tropical wave. Visible satellite imagery showed some low-level clouds across Dominica today. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies were observed. Radar imagery indicated scattered showers across the islands. The weather for tonight, increasingly cloudy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms due to the passage of a tropical wave. Seas tomorrow are expected to be moderate in open water with waves peaking up to 2 meters or up to 7 feet. A small craft warning is in effect for above normal westerly swells. Small craft operators and sea bathers are advised to exercise caution. Looking ahead for the next 3 days, mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms are expected due to the passage of 2 tropical waves. This wet pattern is expected to linger into early next week. Persons in areas prone to flooding, landslides and falling rocks are advised to be vigilant and to exercise caution. Throughout the Caribbean tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms can be expected across the central and northern portion of the region. On the international cities forecast, clear skies expected in New York, rain and overcast skies in Miami, partly cloudy skies in London, thunderstorm activity in Caracas, and cloudy skies in Beijing. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:56 a.m. and the sunset at 5:51 p.m. We are in the hurricane season, so please keep up to date with weather information by visiting our website at weather.gov.dm or call the weather hotline at 447-5555. Thank you for viewing and have a good night.
To end the news, a reminder of the headlines. The Geothermal Development Act to be passed in Parliament later this month. An updated Sexual Offences Act to provide greater protection for minors. And the Dominica Association of Teachers awarded the Norm Global Teachers Day Award. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.